it was like if you took a celly, you were gonna get moved on. You know what I mean? Dudes were like not having it. A lot of guys ended up going to the hole, and what they did was when you went to the hole, they would force move you in with dudes, and you would have to fight them. And you know what I mean? Like they would make you guys fight. If they didn't think that one of you was gonna die, they would literally write it off like whatever. You know what I mean? They didn't care. You know, they would walk away from the door, but you know, you start fighting, they gas you, and then they would come in, beat your ass again. You know, you fight them coming out of your cell, then you fight them after you fight the dude, and then you go back in, you fight the dude again, and then they would come in again, beat you up, and then throw you back in your single cell.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Bounce Back Podcast. I'm your host, B. Luke. I got a special guest with me today. So why don't you tell the people your name, where you're from, and a little bit about yourself and what you got going on with your YouTube channel and the interviews you're doing there.
My name is Mathew. I'm originally from Connecticut. I moved to the Cape when I was young. Spent a lot of time in DYS and prison, so you know, you could say I'm from prison. Started out this YouTube just by an accident. My hand clicked the wrong button, and I realized I could upload videos on YouTube, and I'm like, hold on. So I could reach people just uploading videos on YouTube, and hopefully that they'll be able to watch and just, you know, get something out of it. Give them inspiration, something that they can look forward to. Like,
why is that important to you?
Because there's so much negativity going on in the world right now, you know, and people like they're promoting just the wrong thing, you know, violence, drug use, and you know, with music, that's really a lot of what people listen to every day is just, you know, partying, using drugs. You know, it's like a whole generation of people kind of just wiped out. So if I could be a positive influence and let people see that you could get out of prison and actually do the right thing and you know, do something that could help people, and that's what I want to do, you know.
Absolutely. We definitely need more positivity on this internet, YouTube, whatever platform. There's a lot of drama, negative stuff, so you know, welcome, and I hope you keep doing it. So let's bring it back to the early life, man. Talk about a little bit about the early life. Talk about the home dynamic.
I have a mother and father. They're both together. My mom was like very loyal to my father. She's a diehard Christian, so she wouldn't leave my father. You know, as much friction as there was between them, and there was a lot of arguing, a lot of fighting, but she stayed loyal throughout my whole life, and to me and my father and my brother, you know, my whole family, she's the glue that holds us together. She's been a positive influence in my life since I was a little kid. She's probably my biggest supporter and the main person in my life right now. You know, shout out to you, Mom. Mother's Day tomorrow.
Absolutely. Happy Mother's Day.
When I was 11 years old, my brother passed away. You know, I went to his funeral. I don't know, it just killed me, man. That whole thing just killed me, and it kind of tore up my family a little bit. My father got heavy into drinking, and things didn't get better. They just got a little, you know, everything got a little twisted at that point. He just turned 21, matter of fact, and he drowned in the Housatonic River.
So, I mean, at that big of a age difference for brothers, I'm pretty sure that's somebody that you had looked up to at that point? Yeah,
absolutely. He played basketball. He was about to go to UConn, and he was just a really good dude, man. He was literally like a choir boy type, you know what I mean? Like, and he had a good life ahead of him, and God took him from us, you know. But I know he's in heaven looking down right now.
For sure, so, for sure. And you said your father turned to drinking a little bit more. What effect did that have on you?
Me and him didn't, you know, we bumped heads for most of my life, and he grew up in a home that, like, he has 9 brothers and sisters, and his father was an alcoholic, and like affection to him is, you know, he's a stoic person. So like he has a hard time even saying like I love you and things like that, you know what I mean? So like you could see him like kind of like tear up if he gets like any type of emotion. He's like, you know, but you know, he's a good guy, man. But yeah, we bumped heads a lot, but you know, especially growing up, and I was a little shit, not for nothing.
Do you think too, I mean, as a kid, you kind of look at it differently? You don't look at it how you're looking at it now, like, oh, he's stoic, that's just how he is. He has a tough, as a kid, you're kind of more me-centric, like, why doesn't he love me or show me that affection? Do you think that was getting lost in translation there? You
know, he cared about me, he loves me, I know that, but it didn't seem like it at the time, you know what I mean? It just seemed a lot of like anger, and he was very impatient. It definitely affected me, you know what I mean? It affects the way that I act with people now. I'm a little bit reserved, and it's hard for me to, you know, express my emotions too, like saying I love you, you know, things like that. When I was a kid, it just kind of like sent me out of the house. I was in the streets a lot more. I was just out partying. I never wanted to be at home. After my brother died, it was all no, no, no. Like I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that. So I didn't ask, you know what I mean? I'd jump out the window. And then, you know, the cops would drag me home after like.
Was it just you and that brother? Any other brothers or sisters?
Yeah. I got a brother, Keith. He's actually a nurse. And then my brother Ryan, who's in prison right now, he's still in Shirley Max. He's been down now for like 14 years.
Damn.
Yeah.
Similar, my brother's been down for like just past the 15-year mark. Fortunately he's not in the max. He hasn't been in the max for a while. So that's what, three of y'all?
Yeah, I had three brothers. One of them passed away. Chris passed away. My brother runs his parole soon too.
Yeah, how close are you and him?
Yeah, we were real close, man. Growing up, I didn't want to do anything without him. That was my guy. You know, we went everywhere together. If I was somewhere without my brother, I felt off. You know what I mean? I needed my boy around. You know, so we were real tight growing up. But now, you know, when we went to prison, we started bumping heads over this. You know, who he was hanging out with and who I was hanging out with. You know what I mean? It got in between us a little bit, and I let it get in between us a little more than I probably should have. I started a war over it. You know what I mean? Like we started crushing all his friends. I tried to make him pick a side. I have tons of regrets about it. You know what I mean?
So let's bring it back. I mentioned prison. You mentioned DYS and stuff too. So when do you first start getting in trouble with the law? Is it you and your brother getting in trouble at the same time? Because I know me and my brother had caught some juvenile cases together.
I started getting in trouble when I was 12. You know what I mean? I got chins. The first thing that ever happened to me was, I believe it was, I was throwing rocks into the street or something, and the cops came. That was when I was real young. But then I brought a pipe to school, and some girl found it, and then like, you know, she just turned it into, she went in my lockers, took it and gave it to the principal. I got a chins from that, and it's crazy how things snowballed from there. Like I ended up getting dirty urines, and because I get dirty urines, you know, I was always in court for it, and then I was getting locked up. And when I started getting locked up for like these little petty things, like I met people in there, I started hanging out with them, and then you know, it got more serious. And so when I was like 13, I got committed to DYS for a host of different things. Like I actually lit my school on fire by accident. It was more of a dare than anything. This kid, I was flicking matches over the stall, and when I was skipping class, and I didn't want to go to school because I got kept back in 6th grade. You know, I was flicking matches over the stall, and this kid came out, was like, "I bet you won't flick a match in the trash." I was like, "What?" You know, it was like, whoa. So I was like, dang, you know, I just took off. I went to this class, and I'm telling this kid like, yo, I just lit the school on fire. Things going off. He's like, yeah, right. And I'm like, no, the cops came in and get me. I was like, told you.
Why'd you get kept back? Was that a thing because you were getting in trouble, going in and out, you're falling behind in school? That's kind of an age where you do start to care about what your peers think, you know, your peer pressure, all that, you know what I mean? 6th grade, you start to feel bad about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was embarrassed to even go into class, but I was using a lot of drugs. Like I was taking a lot of acid and smoking tons of weed, you know, and I was skateboarding. I was sponsored for skateboarding by all the local skate shops. I used to, you know, hit competitions and shit, you know, and I was doing pretty good. And I figured at the time I was gonna skateboard for the rest of my life, but you know, drugs got in the way of that. I started smoking a lot of weed, drinking a lot, partying a lot, and I was just, you know, kind of went to the wayside, and I focused more on that. And once I started getting in trouble, it was a quick fall. I got committed to DYS, and I started doing B&Es and robberies and, you know, the school thing, you know, but then there was a lot of dumb things. Like we started a riot at this place called the Juice Bar, you know, we got arrested for that and trespassing and stupid shit, you know, but as it progressed, it got into like selling drugs and doing drugs, and I pretty much stayed away from like the hard shit for a while because I was just selling coke, and I thought, you know, like if you did it, you were kind of a lame, but you know, quick how I changed my view. I used to look at a pile of coke and be like, that's a lot of money. Right. And then I used to look at it, I started looking at it like, damn, that's a long night. You know what I mean? So
what do you think happened there? The transition, do you think it was just a lot going on in your life? I mean, do you remember the first time like, oh, let me see what this is about? You get carried away?
I think it was just a lot of like, you know, social anxiety, and the thing with my brother, you know, kind of just like, it rocked my world. So I just wanted to run away from that anxiety and that depression, and I didn't realize it at the time what I was actually doing, but it sucked me right into that world. By the time I like realized just how deep I was in it, I was so deep I couldn't get out. I ended up doing 3 years and 8 months in DYS. I got out on a technicality, like I went to a hospital, a psychiatric hospital,
right.
And they let me out from the hospital without, telling my caseworker, and I ran.
Yeah.
And I went to Atlanta, Georgia.
Is this in the Cape you're getting arrested? What DYS are they putting you at?
Yeah, they put you in, so I went to Brockton Y.
Okay, yep.
3rd floor, 4th floor, 5th floor, GOS 2, GOS 3, Project Leap, FANF, Teamworks, Boot Camp.
All of it, huh?
Yeah, I've been everywhere. Yeah.
Eventually, you age out?
Yeah, so I aged out. I didn't even sign out. Like when I aged out, I didn't even check in, nothing. They just aged me out. I was on the run. When I went on the run, I was selling coke for a little while up here, but I got, a good amount of money, and then I got a little hot, so I moved to Atlanta. And I was living with my friend down there. We bought a little bachelor pad, and you know what I mean? We had it going on. So I came up on vacation. I went to this lady's house that she used to buy me alcohol to watch her kids. So yeah, I went over.
Huh?
Yeah. So I went over there. I was just like, let me go get a little bit of booze real quick. And I was drinking heavy because I was on the run. I was drinking every day, all day, just like hard. You know what I mean? Going in. And I was a vicious alcoholic at the time. And so I went over that person's house. This dude, he had caught me with his wife, like a little while back,
Yeah.
He caught me with his wife, and we started having words. I was in his house somehow. I ended up in his house. Like these kids were, they was their neighbor. So I just went in there, and I was like, it's not a good idea. But when I went in there, the dudes called me a bitch, and so I went outside, grabbed the 2x4, and came in, and the dude, he went in the other room real quick and grabbed the. I acted like I was gonna leave, I walked down the hallway a little bit, and then I turned around and just smacked him in the head with the 2x4, and then that's how I caught my first bid.
So like what happens? You get arrested on the scene?
I took off. I was at home. I went to, the next day was the first day I went to 2 AA meetings. I stayed sober. It was the first day I was sober in like that whole 18-month, 2 years.
And you were still on the run at this point?
Yeah.
What made you get to go to an AA meeting? You must have had a moment.
Yeah, bro. After that shit happened with that dude, I thought I killed him, you know what I mean? And so I was like, wow, man, if I don't stop, and I had been getting into some other things. I had some things like I can't really talk about, but like stupid things that, I could have like costed me a lot more, I was like, man, I gotta change. I gotta do something now, or else something bad's gonna happen and I'm never gonna get my life back, I went to those meetings, and I went to 2 that same day. That night, they raided my house, and they snatched me up. I got 2.5 years in the county. When I was in the county, I beat up a CO, broke his jaw, broke his nose, gave him a concussion. I ended up going upstate. I got 6 years, and when I was upstate, I beat up another CO, and it was a double bunking thing. So I was caught up in the middle of that. I was in the hole for like 8 months, you know what I mean, during that thing, and I just started going crazy, man.
Yeah, I can imagine. Before we get into all that, let's talk about how long were you on the run, and just talk about life on the run. Anxiety filled, anxiety ridden, what's going on through your mind?
Yeah, I never came out during the day. I was just at nighttime, you know what I mean? I would only come out at night. I was drinking like a fish every day from the morning until night. That was my go-to. I'd just wake up, I'd start drinking some E&J or whatever it was, I kind of lost myself in that, you know what I mean? Taking benzos and drinking every day.
That's a bad combination.
Yeah. And so, you do things when you're on that, like you don't even remember, you know what I mean? You wake up the next day, you lost everything, and you're like, how the hell?
Get indicted.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. So how old were you when this happened with the CO in county?
19, I just turned 19.
Okay,
yeah.
And then you got 6 years upstate. Did they forthwith your county bid, or did you have to complete that and do it on and after?
You know what's crazy is I was one of like 3 people in the state that got sent upstate with a county number. Like I got sent upstate with a transfer number, so it was T88793. I started doing my state time before I started going. I went upstate before I ever got state time.
Gotcha.
So they sent me upstate before I even took the time for the CO. They sent me straight to the max.
Okay.
I went from the county to the max. No Concord. 2006 was when I went out to jail, and then Yeah, it was 2008.
So you're sitting in the max waiting trial, and they got you on the unit with people who are sentenced?
Yep.
And then how long until like court plead out? What happens?
I ended up going to court like pretty soon after I got up there. They gave me the 2 years, 220 a day on and after. And when I was up there, I ended up getting some more stuff, and they gave me on and after. I got a year on and after, all this other stuff. But there was like riots all the time, and shit was popping. It was like if you weren't involved, you pretty much, I don't know. It was crazy.
How much whole time do you end up doing?
I did 10 years in the whole.
10 years. Okay. So how do you end up getting to 10 years? Just keep catching cases? Because that original assault against the CO in county was what? 2 years, you said?
Yeah, 2.5 years. And then when I was in, I got a year on and after, then 220 a day on and after. That thing with the CO got me 220 a day. The first sentence I did all my whole time in the regular hole. So I didn't get DDU time because they couldn't send someone to DDU on a county sentence. Okay. And then when I got my state time, double bunking, they weren't sending nobody to DDU. Like if you get in trouble, they didn't care. They were like whatever, because they knew people were trying to go to DDU, not to have to deal with that.
So why don't you just talk a little bit about what was going on with the double bunking for the people who may not know?
So I was on the north side when that all started happening. Guys were talking about, they were putting double bunks in the cells in G2. Dudes from Lynn, like a bunch of guys like Southie Lynn dudes, they were in G2. They took the Chow Hall hostage, and we heard about all this stuff going on, and we kind of just wrote it off like it's never gonna happen. They're not gonna do that. Even if they put the bunks in the cells, like they're not gonna get away with it. Guys are just going crazy. Kind of like a myth. You know what I mean? And then, sure enough, I was in P2, I got lugged, I went to G2, and there was a bunk in my cell, and I'm like, wow, they actually did it. It was a little bit of time before they actually started putting people in, and then they moved Walpole over and they merged it. It was like if you took a cellie, you were gonna get moved on, you know what I mean? Dudes were like not having it. A lot of guys ended up going to the hole, and what they did was when you went to the hole, they would force move you in with dudes, and you would have to fight them. And you know what I mean? Like they would make you guys fight. If they didn't think that one of you was gonna die, they would literally write it off like whatever, you know what I mean? They didn't care. They would walk away from the door, but you start fighting, they gas you, and then they would come in, beat your ass again. You fight them coming out of your cell, then you fight them after you fight the dude, and then you go back in, you fight the dude again, and then they would come in again, beat you up, and then throw you back in your single cell. And it happened twice a week, every week for about 8 months.
Why do you think that they were able to get away with that?
I have no idea, but when they were doing it, I was like, wow, this is like third world country type stuff. Like, I couldn't believe they could actually do that. You know what I mean? It was like mind-boggling how they got away with it. Nobody paid attention. Nobody cared what was going on upstate. Nobody, even if they did, they wouldn't believe. They wouldn't even believe me if I told them what was going on. You know what I mean? It was almost unbelievable. Like, it was a tragedy, bro. Because, I can only imagine how many people were actually traumatized from that situation, bro.
So what else happens? They move you to the hole, get a cellie, you guys bang out, and then what? You get more time in the hole where they put you by yourself?
Nah, you end up, they keep you in the hole for a little bit longer. As long as you're not taking a cellie, they're gonna keep you up there and you keep on bumping heads. Okay. But they would actually throw dudes downstairs and try to get them to, coalesce. Like, you go down there and they'll give you a cellie, but you'll be in pop, so you take it or whatever. Right. But they moved me downstairs, and I was with my boy Stevie Bass, and I talk about this on my channel too, like on my last episode, The Rise of the Phoenix. I told them, I'm like, yo, if they move you into a double bunk, I'm going in. If they move me into a double bunk, I'm going in. So when we get down there, I had soaked a bunch of wet books and put it in my laundry bag, and I covered it up with laundry, and I tied it up in like a knot. And then when they told them, I stepped around the desk and I just hit the back of the computer the cop was typing, and it smacked him in the face and laid him out. And then, then I went around, I broke the other computer, and Stevie's standing there like, he didn't know I was gonna do all that, you know. But they came running in. I grabbed the cop's foot. He jumped over the desk like Reno 911 bullshit, right? And I pulled his leg. He hit the ground. And when he got up, I slammed him on his back, but his hand hit Budka in the face and broke his glasses in half. And
gotcha.
Yeah, so I did get more time for that. That hole is worse than DDU though. Okay. You know what I mean? If you're sitting in isolation, you don't get the perks that you get in DDU, which is, you know, perks. We're talking about
Right.
TV, canteen items, things like that. You don't get, you know what I mean? You're just sitting in the box doing whole time, like real whole time.
Damn.
It's not meant for people doing long times, but because of that situation, dudes were sitting up there for years. You know what I mean? Some people, you know, if you get transferred out of state, you're sitting up there for years in the regular hole. Not, you know what I mean?
So with all that whole time, just talk about what kind of self-reflection was going on in there.
Yeah, so I read all day. I pretty much my whole life was just working out and reading. I learned a few languages: German, French, Irish, Gaelic for a little while. I had little like you know, phases and stuff like that.
Nice.
But yeah, man, it was pretty crazy. Like with the food situation, so like working out was like a thing. Like because they starve you to, like, you're getting spoonfuls of food, you know what I mean? They changed it a little now where you get double portions of carbs, but before it was just like nothing there, so you were hurting, you know what I mean?
Damn,
you're hungry every night.
Yeah, I mean,
dreaming about food.
You ever see anybody in there start to break down, man? Mental breakdowns? Did that ever happen with you?
I went through some really bad things, you know what I mean? So it's a little bit further on in my story where I started getting like mental health issues from being in the hole for so long. Towards that, you know, once you hit like...
So what leads up to that? Do you eventually get out the hole, and do you eventually get any like consistent time out in population where you can do programs or anything like that?
No, not in the max, man. So my first bid, I didn't get no programming. I spent 90% of my bid in the hole, and you know, it was just in the hole, out of the hole, in the hole, out of the hole, in the hole, out of the hole. And you know, fighting all the time and just drinking all the time, taking any drug I could get my hands on that was in there, trying to, like, you know, not feel anything, you know what I mean? When I got out in 2012. I was twisted in my head, man. I got in like literally a fight every single day for a little while, you know,
on
what
the
I mean?
streets.
Yeah.
So now let's just bring it back a little bit before you start to get out. Are you starting to think about what you're gonna do with your freedom? Are you starting to formulate a plan? What's your mindset like?
In my head, I was just thinking like, nobody can fuck with me, you know what I mean? Like, I was cocky, I was arrogant, but I was also like not prepared for the world, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't have, you know,
tools, resources, anything.
Right, exactly. I didn't have the tools to like make it in the world. They didn't teach you anything up there, you know what I mean? Like, like a lot of people, some people go up and get their barber's license and stuff like that, you know, but it's like...
Are you coming home to probation?
No, the first sentence, I didn't have any probation. You know, I had a golden opportunity with that, you know what I mean? But I was home for about 7 months, and I ended up doing a home invasion and going right back. And the time that I was out was mainly spent getting high, you know what I mean? Like, I got out with a heroin habit. I started shooting heroin when I was...
On the inside?
Yeah.
So you had no plan to even get out or get sober at all?
Nah.
Okay. What events lead up to catching that home invasion case?
These kids that I grew up with, one of them I grew up with anyway, he tried to kill my brother. Like, it was really both of them, you know. They tried to kill my brother. They sold him a hot shot. It was over some really petty things. And at the time, I actually pulled myself out of the streets for a little bit. I got clean for about a month. I was clean. When that happened, and yeah, they tried to kill my brother. I went to their house. My girl knew where they lived. We drove up, and we brought a gun, and I just beat him over the head with the rifle and broke it over the kid's head, you know. It was a bad scene.
How do you get arrested? On the spot? The same thing? Or did they catch up to you later?
Yeah, later that night, I went to my girl's house, and me and her had gotten into an argument over some like real, like, Jerry Springer shit. But yeah, so it wasn't a good thing, though. Like, if we went to trial, I probably would have got a life sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was real bloody, you know. Bad scene, pictures were terrible. I feel like I could have got a little bit of a better deal on the plea bargain, but everything happens for a reason. So
yeah. Do you think the punishment fit the crime to an extent when you were taking this plea bargain, or are you just kind of saying like, I don't want to get the max end of this, let me just take what I can? I mean, honestly,
I just thought, like, I felt like I got shafted. You have like the lawyers that they give you, you know what I mean, for free, as public pretenders, so they're not trying to help you out like that. They're just trying to get it off their caseload so they could, you know, go home early or whatever it is. But
so are you waiting trial in county?
Yeah, so I got locked up. I actually went upstate 52A.
52A status, okay.
Yeah, so I was in the max 52A, and I was only on trial for 8 months.
What county was this case out of? Was this back in
Barnstable County? Yeah,
okay.
Barnstable County. That happened in Yarmouth.
Okay.
And when I went upstate, I had got 12 years or 5 years open probation on an armed home invasion.
Okay.
Yeah. They sentenced me on armed burglary and gave me probation on the home invasion.
So what's the journey like this time? Is Walpole class or is it Shirley Max?
Yeah.
Walpole?
Yep, I went to Walpole. This time I went through classification.
How did that go? Did you smooth with no tickets, no fights, nothing crazy, no beating up CO?
Yeah, this time I felt like I had prison down to a science, you know. It was more like if you keep things cool and there's less friction you have, the better it's gonna be. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like bumping heads with COs, things like that. It's cool, right? But it's not gonna get you far. You know?
I always look at it like this: like, okay, say you win, what prize do you get?
You're gonna get more time.
At this point, you're maturing, you're getting older. It's the whole age thing too. Prison or not, we get to a certain age and we start to think differently. That's just the way it is. Where do you get classified to from Walpole? What are your points looking like?
I stayed in the max the whole time. Yeah, I left for 3 months. I ended up, getting into it.
You got into it with somebody. Okay,
Yeah,
you
right.
got sent back.
When I went to the max on this new bid, I got a DDU sentence about 4 months into it. I ended up crushing this dude in M2, and then I got 18 months in DDU for that. My buddy was with me, you know what I mean? We jumped the kid on the tier.
Okay.
But it wasn't supposed to be jumped. Yeah, it was a one-on-one, but he jumped in, yeah. Okay. I go to DDU, I get out of DDU, I'm in N1. Things were going decently smooth. I ended up catching another DDU sentence though. You know what I mean? Going back for another 18 months. It kind of progressed like that through my whole sentence. Like I was just in and out of DDU. I did this on this sentence here. I did 7 years in DDU, and then the one before that I did 4 years. So not in DDU, but the whole.
So why do you think you were getting in all these violent altercations? Are you still angry inside, mad, sad, depressed, mental health? What's going on?
When I went up, I was in Walpole, and I remember just thinking, like, I was so angry all the time. Like, I hated everything, and I was so mad that I ruined my life. It was gonna kill me. Like, I was so mad. It was like causing me physical health issues. You know what I mean? Like, it lowered my white blood cell count to almost like nothing. Like, they took my blood. I thought something was wrong with me, but it was stress. Cortisol levels killed my white blood cell count. Wow. Yeah, I was so mad all the time, and I was just sitting there thinking, like, dude, if I stay like this, I'm gonna die. You know what I mean? So I had to change. It was like a spiritual kind of thing. Like, I felt like so heavy, you know what I mean? All the time, I just made a decision not to let these things bother me, and I kind of just shut off that anger a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, to the point where it was just focused, you know what I mean? Where I wasn't angry all the time, but when I did get mad, it was like unleash, you know what I mean? The beast, but.
So, self-sabotage to spite yourself, because that's a dangerous road, bro. And I know about self-sabotage and everything too, so.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. I self-sabotage terribly, bro. Anytime something's going good for me, I'll fuck it up. Right. It's almost on purpose, I think. Like, it's a subconscious thing. If things are going well, I'll mess it up somehow.
It gets to a point, it's like, let me just mess it up and deal with it, then really deal with the anxiety of something's gonna mess up anyway, because you're looking at things through a lens of trauma. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything's painted by that. You know what I mean? Like, so all your interactions with everybody's kind of like a little piece of the past is coming with you when you're dealing with everybody. You know what I mean? So, like, my traumas kind of, sent me down a little path that nobody should ever go down, you know what I mean? I started self-injuring real bad, like, I know I'm not proud of it. It's a terrible thing. I'm embarrassed to even say it. But yeah, I snapped, man. And it was more, I was doing it out of anger. I know I said like, you know, I made a decision not to be angry like that all the time, but when after being in the hole for that, like I reached 7 years and I was wrapping up out of the hole, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And 7 years is a long time to do in the hole, man. And I didn't get much time in between, you know? So it was like every time I go back, 2 more years, 2 more years. And it's like, whew, you know, sitting in the hole for that long, just crazy.
What's your support system like? And you probably get limited access even to phones, as obviously being in the hole and everything like that.
Yeah, my mom's always been there for me, bro. She's my #1 supporter. She's remained loyal through all this, and I've had like, you know, different people pop up as you go along. You got, you know, Right a Prisoner and things like that. People, you know, pop up to support you and shit, especially when you start to get close to going home and stuff. But yeah, I didn't have like a crazy amount of support, but just that one person, my mother, you know, supporting me was all I needed.
A little love goes a long way, is what I would say. When does your mindset start to change from that violent, angry, resentful person to the man that I see in front of me today? When does that metamorphosis begin?
When I didn't have the same mindset when I got out. When I got out, I was more along the lines of thinking self-preservation type of thing, and I didn't really have any mental changes inside. It was just about
survival,
not going back to prison, so I'll do it just because they wanted me to. But now I'm doing it because God wants me to, and like, you know, my faith carries me through my life right now. You know what I mean? So when I went back to Dartmouth for the 3rd year, and when I was in there, they were telling me they were going to give me a life sentence, and because the open probation. Wow. So I got on my knees, bro, and I was just like, you know, God, you know, if you're there, man, like, I need you now, you know, because if not, I'm gonna lose my life. And he gave me a chance, you know. They gave me a chance. I went to court, and there was a sudden change in their mind, like, you know, maybe we can, you know, send him to a drug program and get him some help and save my life.
I mean, how grateful are you for that? Because that's, you know, that's a big cloud over your head, a life sentence, man.
When they told me at first, when they said that I was gonna get the life sentence, they were talking about, you know, we have no choice but to give you 20 years to life. My knees almost buckled, bro. I went ghost white. I was just like, you know, because obviously I did 17 years already, and I was just like, I don't even get a chance, like, at life. And I didn't feel like I was doing that bad. I had a job doing tree work, and I had my own place, and, you know, the girl, and I just thought like things were going decently all right, and I just messed up. It was just like a little mistake, like, you know, and they only see what I was, not what I'm becoming, you know what I mean? And it's really hard to convince people you're changing without being able to have that little bit of time to prove it, you know what I mean? They just automatically assume you're bullshitting. So when I went back, and I was so desperate that I just got on my knees. I prayed to God. I said, you know, if you're there, man, just send me something. Like, I need something right now, because if not, like, I really will. I'm gonna lose my life. And I got that.
How long were you in Dartmouth before they were able to find you a program and everything? Is that how it worked out?
Yeah, so I ended up waiting for about 6 months. And I got into the Hope House. That place is a decent place, you know. They help you out a lot there, so yeah. That's where I'm at now.
Yeah, no, that's what's up, man. How important is staying sober to you right now?
It's everything. It's the main goal. I mean, other than God, it's my number 2 priority, bro. So if I don't stay sober, I don't have anything. You know what I mean? So staying sober is literally the most important thing in my life.
How are you doing it? How are you staying sober? What's the keys?
Honestly, when I got on my knees and surrendered to God, like, for some reason, like, I felt like this weird feeling, like all that like urge and to want to get high, even like doing stupid things like sniffing my Wellbutrins and shit, like everything was gone, dude, and I just didn't want to do it no more. And I know that doesn't happen for everybody, but it happened for me. And I think that if it didn't happen for me that way, it probably wouldn't happen at all. So I think God just kind of knew that and was just like, you know, here, bro. And that's how my life has changed. Literally, just that one action is getting on my knees and praying to God, and my life is different. My heart is different. I don't feel the same way towards people anymore. I have no animosity towards anybody. And all I want to do is progress and help other people progress, give them that motivation. And that's one of the biggest things why I do my YouTube channel, is because if 10 people watch it, I don't care if I got like 3,000 views and nobody gets anything out of it, or they leave thinking I want to go shoot somebody, because that's cool. I want them to leave that, once they watch it, I want them to get up and be like, wow, if he could do it, I can do it. You know what I mean? Like, if he's making a difference like this, maybe I can make a difference like that. You know what I mean? Like, the people that I have on there, they're amazing people, and each person represents a story. You know what I mean? So like, you can never judge a book by its cover. Like, I sit in the NA halls and I look at the room, and like, I used to look at it with this like thing, everybody's the same. They're just a bunch of junkies. They're just a bunch of alcoholics. They have all this, that's the only thing they have. That's all I saw. You know what I mean? Now I see it differently. There are all these people who live these lives, and drugs came into it at a different point for everybody, and in a different way, different drug maybe, and for different reasons. You know what I mean? So drugs are not the only thing. It's just part of something. You know what I mean? It's just part of their life. It's just something that happened to them. And it can happen to anybody. Anybody could become addicted to drugs. If you think that you can't, you might just be on your way right now. You know what I mean? If you're getting high, not normal people don't just do heroin. Normal people don't do crack.
There's an underlying mental health thing going on there, usually,
If you're doing it, you're probably on your way to a serious addiction, or you're already there. You know what I mean? And the only thing I could say to somebody in that situation is get some help, like now. You know what I mean? And don't wait until you're an old man sitting on Mass Ave, you know, asking people for dollars and shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
so you get the treatment for the addiction stuff, right? But now comes the underlying mental health things going on. Is that something that you're able to kind of address?
Yeah, so I had serious depression, like crushing depression, where like everything turns gray and like there's no joy at all. Like, it just gets like, it's like sucked out. Like, you could go from seeing everything like green, life, you know, colorful, and then it's just like gray and bland and lonely, and prison affected me badly. You know what I mean? Like, doing all that time in DDU affected me badly. The only thing that worked, medication didn't work, nothing worked. Only thing that worked is God so far. You know what I mean? Up until this point, God has brought me through, and when I have these feelings now, I still get depressed, but I have something to lean on, and it's not a crutch, and it's not because I'm weak. God is my strength. God makes me strong. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's just a misconception about Christian people that are that have faith, that they're weak. They do it because they're weak. You know what I mean? I disagree. I think that people with faith are much stronger. You know?
Why do you think that is? That they're much stronger?
It's just something that you feel like when you have like, when you believe in God like wholeheartedly, all that fear, all that like anxiety, all that stuff like kind of gets lifted. You know what I mean? Because you know that He's gonna be there for you, bro. And like every little thing that happens to me, it seems to be like meant to be. Like, it's just a little, like he's putting all these little people in my path, and he's putting me in situations to grow, and helping me see life differently, to where I can understand it in a different way. You know what I mean? There's a new light to things, you know, and it's amazing. You know?
Instead of serving yourself, you're serving a higher power and trying to help others. Like, what does that mean to you?
So honestly, that's the main reason why I'm doing this right now is I want to reach people where they're at and show them like, look it, bro, if I can do it, the most fucked up individual in this fucking world, then you can do it. You know what I mean? Because I went from having serious trauma and mental health issues and, you know, being in prison my entire life, you know what I mean? Like, to like now being able to, I go to the gym every day. I go to meetings every day. I talk to people about their recovery. I pull people out of their misery, kind of, you know what I mean? Like, if I see someone having a bad day, it feels great to just be like, look, man, I'm here for you, bro. And if you need somebody to, you know, talk to, I'll be that person for you, bro. And I actually do care. So it's like, it's not like I'm just doing it for no reason. Like, I'm doing it because I actually do care about people. Like, I genuinely care about people, you know?
Yeah. As far as sobriety goes, would you recommend the group setting over someone trying to do it on their own? And why or why not?
Because if you white knuckle it, it's only a matter of time before you feel like you can dibble and dabble and it's not going to be that bad. Like, if you don't have anybody to hold you accountable, you just don't have any foundation for your sobriety. If you need a foundation for sobriety. Like, you need to build yourself up and work for it. It's kind of like money, you know what I mean? If you get it fast, it goes fast. Right. You know what I mean? If you work for it, then you're a lot more likely to appreciate it and hold on to it. If I start getting high, it's only a matter of time before I start robbing people and beating them up or doing whatever it is I did, you know what I mean? Like, I had a hair trigger temper and I would fight you literally for nothing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was so bad. I was fighting my friends. Nobody wanted to be around me because they didn't know what to expect. I was so unpredictable. Like, if you said the wrong thing, I was up your ass. You know what I mean? And I thought that it was just like, you know, that's how you got respect. That's the only thing I knew. That's the only way I knew how to get respect. But now I see more intelligence and caring and doing the right thing is how you get respect, bro. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Working for it, showing people that you're here for a reason. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not just I didn't get here by, you know, by accident. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you were cellmates with the younger you right before that first incident with the C.O. was about to happen. Even though you probably couldn't have told you anything that you would have listened to, what would you try to tell yourself now, knowing what you know and going through everything you went through after? Even though, like you said, everything happens for a reason. We can't go back and change it. But say a similar situation, similar thing going on, what kind of advice would you give?
I would smack the shit out of myself. You know what I mean? I'd beat my own ass. You know what I mean? Because that's the only thing I listen to. You know what I mean? Sometimes people do need that, honestly. But if I could go back and reach into my life and tell myself something like real, I would tell myself, like, look it, bro, you know, you could do all this, but as soon as you walk out this door, nobody's even gonna know what you did. No one's gonna know you were in prison and you were a badass in there. No one's gonna know how respected you were. No one's gonna care if you were in PC. No one's gonna care if you were running the max. They don't know and they don't care. You know what I mean? So all this is for nothing. You know what I mean? It doesn't get you stripes on the street. It doesn't get you stripes with the people that matter. It gets you stripes with the people that really can't do anything for you. You know what I mean? And they're not gonna do anything for you. They don't care if you're in DDU. They don't care if you're suffering an addiction. They don't care if you're ripping your arms apart. They don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? They don't want to see you doing good. They want recreation. You know what I mean? And all you are is entertainment. So that's what I would tell myself. Don't be their entertainment, bro.
Why do you think it's so hard for some people?
I think that people aren't given the right tools. You know what I mean? If they did more programming and less prison, there'd be a lot less people in prison. You know what I mean? Not just because they were sending them to programs, but because they were actually learning the things that they need to learn. You know what I mean? Seeing that people aren't just unforgiving people. Like, not everybody's unforgiving as the court. You know what I mean? Like, the court system is very unforgiving. You go in there and they don't care. You know what I mean? They don't even look at the background situation. They just look at the crime and the time, boom, you're gone. You know? So I think that people need to be afforded tools and they need to be afforded, you know, a little bit of understanding and caring, you know what I mean? Just to show people that you care. instead of being so cold towards them, you know what I mean? Where they think that they don't matter. Because everybody does matter. You know, each person has something to offer. You know what I mean? And that's important. You know what I mean? To let people know that they do matter.
Yeah,
you know what I
they
mean?
have value.
Yeah.
Do you think it's great to get these stories, you know, from us? We're sitting here on the outside, man. Do you think someone like us should get access to the inside and really try to get the stories from in there? Because like how you were saying about the whole double bunk situation, you're sitting there and this is like, you think you're in a third world country. Like, how are they getting away with this, right? Do you think we should have more access to that? And why?
Yeah, I believe that if people knew what was going on in there, it probably wouldn't be happening so much. Because if they knew and believed, not just heard about it and thought, yeah, that's probably not true because it's some convict saying it or something like that. Because, you know, you got the governor standing up on TV like, it's all lies.
Yeah.
You know, we got money for that, you know, lawsuits and stuff like that. Remember when he said that? But yeah, so I think that if people understood it, that it really does happen in there, they might be a little bit more apt to, you know, do something about it. You know what I mean?
What are some of your short-term goals that you have right now? Short-term, long-term, what are some goals you have?
So my goals really, you know, right now is just to honestly get my ID, because that's like a big step for me. I honestly never had it my entire life. So now I'm working on, I got my social security card, my birth certificate, and you know, I've been relying on myself to get everything. So like I never had food stamps, I never had anything. I work for my money, I work for my food. And so right now, my main goal is to just get back on my feet, reach as many people as I can, let them know that I'm out there, you know what I mean, that I care, and give them the stories that they need to hear, and let people know that this is really going on. And
where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I think I'd be, you know, I have my own place, have a car, definitely want to interview some more interesting people, you know what I mean, keep that going, you know. I want to do like prison outreach, you know what I mean? I want to start like going to NA meetings inside the prison, or, you know, prison ministry, things like that.
Yeah.
You know, going inside and making some changes in there, you know what I mean? Helping people like before they get out, you know what I mean? Let them know how it's going to be, you know, in a real way, you know what I mean? And I didn't even know that a lot of these resources and tools were available to me. So if I could let people know that these, you know, certain resources and tools are available to them, then save them a lot of time, you know what I mean, and headaches and heartaches, you know what I mean. Then I would love to be able to do that for someone.
Doing all that whole time, man, like what's the worst part about being isolated for that amount of time?
Physical contact. No physical contact. You start craving it. You know what I mean? You feel so alone. Like you start having like your ego becomes the only thing in your world. So you're the biggest, baddest dude in your whole world. You know what I mean? And you need a reality check. You know, when you get out, it's kind of like you got the shakes. You get out of the hole and you're kind of like nervous, anxiety, and you don't know why. That big wide open space. You know what I mean? And you're just like too many people around, and social anxiety kicks in. And it's not good for people's mental health. You know what I mean? No matter who you are.
Well, you're out now, which is great. You got your whole life ahead of you. What are some things you're looking forward to on this side of the wall?
I want to travel a little bit, you know what I mean? Go down south, you know what I mean? See like Florida, and maybe go to California, things like that. But really, I'm just looking forward to making progress in my life and just growing.
Yeah. What's the situation with your brother and everything right now? Do you talk to him? How's he doing?
Yeah, he's good. He just got married, and he's seeing parole soon. So I'm praying for him. I'm hoping that he gets parole. You know.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah, he got into that whole thing with Wood, the CO, and stuff like that. So he got extra time added onto his sentence. Yeah.
Well, hopefully he gets the parole.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there was anything else that you wanted to touch on before I let you go. Maybe you wanted to talk about we didn't get a chance to. Anything you could think of, or some closing words before I let you go?
I would just say check me out on YouTube, man, at W Number. We got some interesting people on there. Scott Strode, the founder of the Phoenix Gym, my friend, Jonathan Howell, Kevin Kozlowski, a lot of people that are, people that are just like us, you know what I mean, and going through addiction and recovery now, and getting their life together, the resources and the things that they have available to them. I get the message out there, and
Talk a little bit about the Phoenix.
Yeah, so I go to the gym every morning, the Phoenix Gym. Scott Strode, the guy, he's like, he's a real good dude, man. Like the other day, he bought, like my friend, he has a messed up hand. So he asked him for straps, like just to lift the, the lifting straps. And he bought them. Next day, he had them. It's free for anybody, 48 hours sober. There's a lot of people there too, like that you could meet that will help you out. Like, you know what I mean? I put a few of them on the Rise of the Phoenix.
Nice.
There's a couple people that, they do outreach and stuff like that. And so, they help people get into college. You meet a lot of different people there, you know what I mean? It's cool, you network. And
so big ups to that. So I guess before I let you go, just have this one more question for you. Why was it important for you to come up here and want to tell your story, man?
Because people out there need to know what's happening in the max, you know what I mean? Like, it's not just everyday things going on in there. The C.O.s are beating dudes up, like, bad. And DDU was one of the worst I ever seen. Like, the cops would just hop on you, you know what I mean? Letting people know that I'm doing good now, you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to help people, and kind of inspire other people to do the same thing. You know what I mean? That's the biggest thing, is inspiring change in the community. Like, inspire other people to want to help other people. You know,
that's what it's about, man. And I appreciate you coming through, man. Guys,
man.
The Bounce Back Podcast. It is what it is. Remember, what's next is what you make it. Thanks again. Hey, on that note, we out of here. Peace. You got a moment when they see you down